A deadly and fiery wrong-way accident in North Texas shuts down a part of a major highway for hours. We hear from the bigwig driver who narrowly escaped injury. The DBU community is remembering the 3 students killed during a weekend crash. We'll show you more of the memorial happening now. And we're tracking severe storms and showers to finish off a gloomy Mother's Day in North Texas.
The news leader, broadcasting for all North Texas. Fox 4 News starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Natalie Solis. It's been a wet Mother's Day for many of us here in North Texas, but over in Oklahoma, a tornado was reported this evening. Storm chaser Russ Contreras snapped a photo in central High, Oklahoma, that's east of Lawton, and some golf ball sized hail was reported just a county over. Now, we haven't heard of any damage or injuries reported, at least not just yet. Now, even though many of our severe thunderstorm watches are no longer active, some intense wind gusts, rain and lightning are still headed into North Texas overnight. Fox 4 meteorologist Allie Turiano joining us now. And Allie, this is just the start of a wet-looking week.
Hi, Natalie. Good evening, everyone. We had 4 or 5 days of great conditions, right? Well, now we're back to a more stormy weather pattern for the upcoming week. The good news, our thunderstorm watch, well, they let that go. And even into Oklahoma, the tornado watch that was there no longer around. So the air a little more stable. While we still have showers and storms going on through much of our night, we're not anticipating severe weather, but very heavy rain, frequent lightning, and still some gusty winds to 30 miles an hour not out of the question. Pushing up through Grayson County into Collin County, McKinney, some lightning there. Around Denton and Sanger, still some rains. Those will continue to move off to your east and northeast. Into Fort Worth, Dallas, yes, we have some showers and storms, nothing too intense at this point in time. And we've seen more wet weather develop near Granbury and Glen Rose, pretty scattered in nature. So this first round is moving through, but we're still tracking some wet weather back off to the south and west from Eastland to Cross Plains. So once the first round moves through, I still think we'll see some wet weather as we go into the overnight hours. We're still hanging out in the low 70s for much of the Metroplex with that strong southerly breeze. We'll keep coverage at about 50% from now till about 11:30, 12, and then we'll drop it slightly into the overnight. Still some wet weather expected for the early part of our commute. And then we get at least a little bit of a break for the early afternoon tomorrow. But if you live east of the I-35 corridor, that's where the threat for more strong to severe storms will reside. We'll talk more about that, and I'll time everything out for you hour by hour in just a bit.
All right, Allie, thank you. Remember, Good Day starts at 4:30 tomorrow morning. More local weather and traffic information than any other station. That's Good Day, 4:30 to 9 on Fox 4. Students, faculty, and staff are coming together tonight to mourn the death of 3 Dallas Baptist University students. Let's go ahead and take a live look right now and listen in just briefly to the memorial happening now on campus. Grief counselors have been on hand all weekend to help those who knew the 3 undergrads killed in a car crash. 22-year-old Justin Schubert, 19-year-old DJ Saranac, and 23-year-old Will Smith were killed when their truck hit a curb and landed in a ditch in South Dallas. It happened yesterday morning around 3 on Mountain Creek Parkway. Police say speed was a factor. Friends we spoke with today say the shock is really starting to settle in on campus.
It was awful. I had this emptiness in my stomach, felt just like throwing up, didn't really know what to do, and I was just driving, aimlessly, not knowing how to deal with the emotions I had.
And taking another live look at that memorial at the DBU Pilgrim Church, hundreds of DBU students will graduate this week, while others will finish off the spring semester. Schubert is from Cleburne in Johnson County, Smith from Bullard, south of Tyler, and Saranac is a native of Eastern Europe. But we've heard tonight that he did go to high school in Granbury. Funeral plans have not been set for those students. A fiery, fatal wrong-way crash shut down southbound I-35E in DeSoto for nearly 12 hours today. It reopened just after 4 this afternoon. The wrong-way driver was killed in the collision with an 18-wheeler. DeSoto police are still trying to find out why that driver headed in the wrong direction early this morning. Fox 4's James Rose has more on what the surviving driver of the 18-wheeler has to say about it. James.
Well, Natalie, just after 5 this morning, DeSoto police say they got reports about a wrong-way driver, but before they could stop that driver, there was a head-on impact and an explosion. The driver of the 18-wheeler was badly shaken, as you can imagine, but perhaps what's more disturbing is what he thinks the wrong-way driver was trying to do.
The officers were en route to try to stop this vehicle when this passenger car collided with an 18-wheeler.
The impact so powerful, car parts around the burning jackknife tractor trailer made a large debris field. As the fire department quickly put out the flames, they saw a small sedan so badly crushed and burned, it took a while to determine it was a Honda Civic.
I know, by the time I slammed on the brakes, he already hit my my driver's side tire and explode.
A ball of fire. We had a massive fire at the scene. The driver of the 18-wheeler was able to get out and walk away from the crash.
It's really bad,
A badly shaken truck driver, Ramon Honius, says the high-speed crash was unavoidable.
I saw this guy coming out, this car coming out without lights. And I moved to my left, tried to skip it, No, he moved to his left too. I moved back to my middle lane, he moved back. Then I moved all the way to the right so I can get off the highway.
Honius says to him, the driver's actions appeared to be intentional because he matched his every move.
This guy, it seems like he speed up every time he sees me trying to skip him. He speed up. I don't know if he's drunk or suicidal. Why he gonna be doing in the wrong side of the road, with the lights off?
Investigators say the wrong-way driver caused the crash by entering the southbound lanes of I-35 at Beltline Road in DeSoto, heading northbound. What they don't know is why. Several people gave witness accounts.
They are getting some conflicting reports of exactly what happened, and it's going to take a few days to vet those reports and figure out the exact sequence of events that led up to this tragedy.
Now, the driver of that sedan has not yet been identified by the medical examiner. Investigators say they are looking into anything and everything. And crashes like this could take weeks or even months if they have to wait for a toxicology report. But in the end, they may never know why this person drove the wrong way, slamming into an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, terrible accident. So we said off the top there that I-35E was shut down for 12 hours. Why did it take so long for the highway to reopen?
Well, basically, Natalie, this wasn't just a typical two-vehicle collision. This was a high-speed crash with an explosion. And as I mentioned, there was a pretty large debris field. Anytime there's a fatal accident, investigators have to thoroughly go through the crash site with crash reconstruction experts. And one of the other most time-consuming aspects of this crash was the hazardous material cleanup. A lot of diesel fuel and other gasoline and stuff spilled into the ground. And in all, again, it took about 11 hours to clear the roadway and reopen it.
Yep, got to make sure it's safe for everyone else. Okay, James Rose, thank you. Dallas police are looking for an overnight murder suspect. Police say 25-year-old Jose Matilde Reyes shot and killed a man at a house near Hampton Road in Central Oak Cliff around 11 last night. Investigators have not yet identified the victim. Police need help identifying a person of interest after a murder around 11 last night at a Dallas beer store. Investigators released this picture and are trying to figure out his name. Police were called to the Discount Food, Beer and Wine in East Oak Cliff. That's where they believe someone shot and killed 22-year-old Ladarian Connor during a fight. Dallas police are also looking for the person who killed a man in a drive-by shooting in Oak Cliff. It happened around 11:30 last night on Hampton Road. Police say the victim was driving south on Hampton when someone in another vehicle pulled up alongside and opened fire. A North Texas veteran says he was nearly knocked unconscious by another man during his DART train ride. It happened late Friday morning near the Uptown station in Dallas. Fox 4's Alex Boyer spoke with the victim, who says the attack came out of nowhere. It's a story you'll see only on Fox 4.
Shane Raftery is not the kind of guy you want to mess with.
I'm a pretty big guy, like 6'3", about 220.
The 31-year-old former Army Ranger did 5 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I ended up kind of sitting on these benches here.
He was never injured overseas, but back in Dallas, his luck changed.
I've ridden it before, never have any problems.
Last Friday around 10 in the morning, Raftery hopped on the DART train at DFW Airport, headed back to his home in Uptown.
I was sitting kind of towards, I guess, the connector between two trains. I was facing kind of forward, and I had about 2 rows behind me.
Raftery noticed a man who appeared to be homeless sitting a few rows ahead of him.
Kind of distinct looking hat, and then he had 2 sweaters on, and his jeans were all torn up.
As the DART train slowed to make a stop at City Place, Raftery said the man got up and walked past him as if he were getting off the train.
All of a sudden, I just got struck on the head, pretty hard, and kind of took me a minute to gather myself.
Raftery immediately stood up and turned around.
He was pretty surprised that I stood up, so he started running up the other cars, basically. I don't know if his plan was to hit me, grab my stuff, and get off at that stop.
At the time of the attack, Shane didn't have any cell service down at the train platform, so he was forced to book it up 2 sets of escalators up to higher ground in order to get help.
So I saw a maintenance worker who saw a lot of blood coming down my head and my face and said, "You need help?" I said, "Yes."
This is a picture of Raftery's injuries taken minutes after the attack, the wound too gruesome to show.
I'm holding my head with my hand, so I opened my suitcase, grabbed a shirt out of there, and immediately started applying pressure.
Raftery required stitches. Today, the swelling, he says, is starting to go down.
It wasn't a sharp object.
Raftery says he knows the attack could have happened anywhere, but when it comes to future travel to and from the airport, Raftery admits he'll use another form of transportation.
I think I'll take cabs and Uber, from the airport.
Alex Boyer, Fox 4 News.
In a statement given to Fox 4 News, a DART spokesman said, in part, the suspect was arrested by DART police at Mockingbird Station within 30 to 45 minutes of the report of the assault. He is charged with assault. He is in his late 30s. The spokesman goes on to say DART police regularly ride trains and buses and patrol all of our passenger facilities. We also have a full-time security presence at City Place. The suspect's name has not been released. Now today, a DART security guard told Fox 4 since the closing of Tent City, they've seen a spike in the number of homeless people at the City Place station. A group of firefighters are going above and beyond to help a critically injured toddler and his family. Now, people have already donated more than $20,000 to help cover medical bills for 3-year-old Aiden McKittrick. The Louisville Professional Firefighters Association has also started selling Aiden's Heroes t-shirts. Aiden is the son of a Louisville firefighter. He was seriously injured Thursday when he fell off a boat and was hit by a boat propeller. Now you can find a link to buy the shirts on our website, fox4news.com. The Fort Worth police officer injured in a shootout with a fugitive will be released from the hospital this week. Officer Matt Pierce is set to leave the hospital on Tuesday, surrounded by fellow officers. He's been recovering at John Peter Smith Hospital since the March 15th shooting. Pierce will stay at home and rest before going to a rehab facility in Houston. Several fundraisers have raised more than $150,000 for the officer and his family to help pay off uncovered medical expenses. People in the city of Palestine will come together tomorrow to remember the 6 people killed in that intense flooding. Linda Asbury and her 4 great-grandchildren all drowned in the early morning flash floods. A 6th victim, Giovanni Oliva, drowned on a country road a few miles away. It was the worst flooding the city has seen in the last 50 years. The community memorial service starts at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Palestine Civic Center. The prison drug lord El Chapo the prison he's moved to is rated one of the worst prisons in all of Mexico. Details on the facility right outside of El Paso. Plus, many influential Republicans are refusing to support Donald Trump. More on who's meeting with the presidential hopeful this week. Plus, a different open carry debate in Austin, the plan that many UT professors are against ahead.